I had the joy. Taria's filed some juvenile cases. Scotty's filed some juvenile cases. This one particular juvenile case that I followed, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Judge Garrett Page right now, right here. Please keep this man in your prayers. He is doing his job. And just like we just bashed all those systems that we spoke of before, he is the reason why that our kids, he's interrupting the school to prison pipeline. And his colleagues and those powers that be, those behind the scenes folks, are trying to set him up so that he is no longer in that position. He is in
Right.
a powerful position to stop the incarceration of our young people that they are losing their minds. And so when I say this case came to us, it was a tragic, tragic accident. And initially, when this case came to us, the young man was 13 years old. His mother sent him to the car to retrieve her firearm. He came in waving it, playing, accidentally shot and killed his sister. Tragic, tragic, tragic. There's nothing, ain't no amount of jail time ever in this world is going to bring his sister back or erase from his memory what happened that day. With all that being said, they initially were trying him as an adult at 13. He was held at the juvenile detention center, but they didn't know how, which has 48 beds, 36 of which are on lockdown. And they didn't know what to do. So once he got decertified, they still weren't sure. They set his bail at $200,000. Let me say that. $200,000, a 13-year-old kid, they gave him $200,000 for accidentally shooting his sister. And then, so, they're so like up in arms, not knowing what to do with themselves, that once they decertified him, which means that they're going to try him as a juvenile, they still held him on adult supervision. Make that make sense. He's not an adult. He's a child. Why do you have him on adult supervision? Who knows? Because I had to go to the prison and sign the paperwork when we posted his bail. You know what I mean? So it was a 10%. So it was $20,000. We figured it all out and got this young man free. If we did not post that bail, he would have been sitting in that juvenile detention center until his case went to trial. They worked it all out. Long story short, they worked out a plea deal, this, that, and the third. He never just, served a day in jail. He had supervision. He had mandated therapies, all the supports. He's living with his aunt and uncle. He's doing well. He had his first round of check-in once the actual case was resolved and the sentence was final. He was still on supervision. He came back. So this is probably like 9 months after the case had been sentenced or disposed of, that they were coming back to have him, the academy, the probation officers, all of his supports, everybody except for the DA was in agreement to allow this young man to come off of all supervision of the county, right? No probation, no parole, no have mandated therapy, even though he's choosing and making efforts and his family is doing all that. He's excelled in all of his classes. The DA, when I said earlier, they will retry you at every given moment that they can. The DA in this hearing to release this young man from supervision, she proceeded to say again, he wasn't playing. He pointed the gun like this, and he did this, and he did that, and this was a violent case, and da 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 da. We've been agreeable all this way, but we want to keep him on supervision. Bitch, why? That's what the judge wanted to say, but he's a God-fearing man. He was sitting on the bench. So he said, ho, 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 slow down, take a breath. We're gonna talk about this. And then he addressed the young man and checked in with him about how he's doing, what his plans are for the future. He wants to go to college. He has plans for his life. He has grown like 5 or 6 inches since we saw him for last. About to have his 16th birthday, and just wanted to keep him on supervision. And the judge was like, "There's no amount of supervision that's going to erase what he's done, accidentally, on purpose, not you cannot erase that. So what you're doing is saying that you just want to keep him here because you want to keep your thumb or your foot on his neck." And so he didn't say all that. That's me paraphrasing. But you know what I mean? I'm sitting here like this, and I sat in a spot where I know he would see me. And I'm sitting up here praying, like rocking back, because I'm listening to this lady and I'm getting mad, I'm getting mad, I'm getting mad. And I'm like, if somebody don't shut this lady up, like she's traumatizing him all over again. You know, we talked about trauma. For him to have to sit here and listen to this lady tell him what he did all over again in such a graphic manner and demeaning manner, like, you ain't going home. You know what I mean? It's just like, how do you get to do that? And so I'm glad that Judge Page stepped in and stopped that abuse. And ultimately, he decided that this young man was not going to be on supervision, that he was going to trust his family and trust this young man and trust his community, because we're his community too. We've been there from day one. We've been rocking with him, rocking with the family, holding him down, and been at every court case, every hearing, anything that we could be at, to make sure that they knew that he had people standing behind him and alongside of him. And that was a glorious day. I'm telling you, they were so happy. He was so happy. And I mean, he can be as happy as he can be, right? We know people that, they get a deal of a lifetime and they're still not happy because the trauma of the situation still lingers. Like he you know what I mean? He's going to struggle with this for his entire life. He will never, ever, ever forget it. You know what I mean? But to give him some semblance, and I always talk about how the DAs treat, their defendants, and it's like, you're going to tear this person to shreds, put them in a cage, and expect them to knit themselves back together in a way that when they come out, they're a model citizen. When you done ripped them to shreds, put them in a cage, didn't give them needle nor thread nor antibiotic, nothing to help them heal and become a human being again, to come out on the outside. Like, make this make sense. Like, and I'm angry and I'm trying to make this a positive thing, but it just pissed me off that that's what she did. Like, and it made me want to choose violence that day, but the outcome was better than me choosing violence. And so that young man has his freedom unencumbered. He can move about the country. He can live his life and do the best that he can in honor of his sister. That's what I told him. I said, live your life so that your sister would be proud. You know what I mean? Like, you can't bring her back, but live your life so that she would be proud of you. How would she like you to see you live your life? You know what I mean? And so, again, just kudos to Judge Page that he recognized what was going on in that moment. And that's why I said that we have to hold our other judges accountable, that they recognize what's going on in that moment and stop these DAs from traumatizing and abusing defendants, because it's foul.
On his face, betrayal on the face, I was helpless escape. They face, their head was on a plate, my heart overlooked, they lines they crossed, my mind was yelling to something they bought, ain't gotta be you, ain't shit too late. Chapters ahead might be a change.